move on to the nationwide. Who is the person that's going to present the nationwide? Is that the lady?
She's in there.
Hey, how you doing today, ma'am? So right now, we'll take item number 5, presentation by Nationwide regarding change in the guaranteed minimum interest rate. And ma'am, if you'll just step up to the microphone and if you'll make sure the red light's on, then you should be able to go.
Crystal Roseman is.
Crystal
Roseman.
Roseman.
Good morning. My name is Crystal Roseman. I am your representative for the Nationwide 457 account for the county. And so we offer the deferred compensation plan, and there are changes that are being made to our fixed account. Our guaranteed fixed account is an account that we have been paying out a guaranteed interest rate currently of 3% as a guaranteed rate, and we've actually been crediting 3.5%. That guaranteed rate is going to be changing, and it's because the markets have not allowed for us to continue to pay at such a high rate for a guaranteed account. So most companies have lowered those rates years ago, but Nationwide has strived to keep the rate as high as possible for as long as possible to pay out to our participants. So what is happening is that we're having to lower that rate for the guaranteed amount. There's a difference between the guaranteed rate and the actual crediting rate, which is the rate that's actually paid out to the participants in that fund. It's just one of the fund choices for us. In order for us to have a guaranteed rate, we do have to guarantee the backing of that by having a certain amount of money in reserves. By doing so, that does restrict us from being able to renew and get higher rates. So what we're doing is we are changing and lowering the guaranteed rate that allows us to free up reserve money so that we can invest it in different investments so that we can continue to pay as high as the market will allow for us to pay. The way that Nationwide does those guaranteed accounts is that the participant's money is never actually invested. We have our money invested in long-term investments, and they're generally in 30 and 40-year bonds. But as those come due and they're not being able to renew at the higher rate, we're not able to continue to pay and guarantee at that higher rate. So we're having to lower that rate for the guaranteed rate. What that does is freeing up our reserve money allows for us to reinvest in other things and be able to keep up with the market. So our intentions is not to stop paying the high rate. Our intentions are to lower the guaranteed rate, but still continue to credit the rate as high as possible. We still want to remain competitive and fair to the market. So what we're doing is by changing the guaranteed rate is just the floor of how much the account can pay at the very least. But again, we've always been paying higher than the guaranteed rate, and we do intend on continuing to do so. But by lowering it, we give you 3 different options to choose from to see which is going to be best for the county participants, so that you have a say in how this change will take place. There are currently 8 participants in the plan, and about 45% of those assets are in that fixed account. There are 3 different options for investing, for changing the guaranteed rate. The first option is that we do a gradual stair step down from 3% down to 1% over the next couple of years. And so what that does is it lowers it by 0.5% each year. And again, that is just for the guaranteed rate itself. The crediting rate, however, will be whatever the market allows for us to pay, so it'll be market competitive. And that's going to be able to be assessed every quarter. So every quarter we'll be able to reassess the market and see if we're able to increase or decrease or stay the same at the crediting rate, which is the rate that the accounts will actually receive that are invested in that investment. So with that first option, it would go down as a gradual process. And again, we do strive to keep the crediting rate as high as possible. The second option is very similar to option 1, where it also goes down in a stair-step manner, but currently the fixed account does have a restriction that only allows people to move money out of the fixed account at a maximum rate of 20% per year. With that maximum rate, with option 2, we are actually increasing that, doubling that, so that people who are in that fixed account and decide to remove money from that account, they can actually move money out at a rate of 40%. So they can get the money out of the account much quicker if they choose to do so. The trade-off for that is that our crediting rate will be 0.1% less than the general crediting rate. So for example, if it is 3.5%, in case number 2, it would be 3.4% because they have an option to be more liquid within the account. Option 3 is going to be where you actually can stay with everything that's in the account. All the money that's currently in the fixed account will remain at the 3.5% that's currently being credited out, but any new money that comes into the account by any existing or new employees will go into the account at the new guarantee rate of 1% and crediting rate of 1.2%. So basically with this option, this is going to preserve the people who are already in that account to keep them at the higher rate, but any new money that comes into the account would then go down to the 1% guarantee rate, and the 1.2% is the crediting rate that we'd be paying out on that account. So we give you the 3 different options because it all depends on what you want to focus on. For the first option, it's going to be a gradual, easy transition from the rate that we're guaranteeing now to a possible lower rate. With option 2, it gives them more flexibility and liquid to be able to move money out of that fixed account if we think that a lot of people would rather move money out. And we haven't really seen that be a trend so far because even with this year with us changing that rate, we still have been paying out the 3.5%. So it's still much higher. Even if we lowered it to the 3%, it's still much higher than anything that you can get out on the market these days. So people still tend to stay within that account. The third option would be if you're more concerned about the people who are already in the account and them needing to remain at that interest rate, and then anyone new coming in will not have that new interest rate. They will have the 1% guarantee with the 1.2 crediting rate.
So you said anyone new coming into the account, but it would also be people that are in the account now, any future contributions would be at the new
That is correct, yes.
1%.
Yes, so any new dollars that come into the account for any existing employees or future employees will get the new crediting rate at option 3. And option 3 is a default option, so if you don't choose anything, you don't make any selections, that will be the option. We are asking for the decisions to be made by the first week in February. However, it's not a hard deadline, meaning that we know that this information is new and we're trying to get out so that we can explain everything for you. So it's not a hard deadline. We can definitely extend that and make sure that you have plenty of time to make the decision for the county.
On that initial crediting rate of 1.2%, how long does that last? Is that 1 year or?
No, that's indefinitely until we make another change in the account.
Okay, so regardless of what happens in the market, it's just going to be at the 1.2.
That is correct.
You have those numbers very well in your head, don't you?
I
You
do.
need to look down.
I do. I know. I've been dealing with this. We just came out with this change, and we've been dreading having to make that change. But yeah, but business requires that we have to.
You did a very good presentation.
Thank you.
Is there anyone that's in it that's here today that has any questions about current investments or? All right. Anybody else?
Just as an information item, especially for the new members of the court, this is a 457 plan. This is a totally voluntary plan. It's an additional plan in addition to our TCDRS retirement. So it's totally voluntary, and that's why the low numbers of participants. It is just a way for employees to put even more money because TCDRS has just one amount. You can't put more, you can't put less.
7%. That's
Right,
it.
and so this allows an employee who so chooses to put more away for retirement.
So above and beyond what we offer.
That is correct,
And it's pre-tax.
yes.
Anything else at all?
No, and we will make sure, Nationwide will make sure that we help communicate the change, whichever change option that you choose. We'll be able to communicate that to the participants so that they have that information, and we will direct them to Nationwide for any questions or anything that they need to explain.
All right.
Okay.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you. Appreciate it.